Okay. In case there is some issue with the desktop or anything other, please let me know on that. Okay. So Accops stands for Access Operations, and we are been into access operations for pretty 15 years time. By access operations, what we mean is giving access to the corporate environment. By access operations, what we mean is allowing people to access their digital workspace or digital environments. What we understood also is that access operations is not going to be same for everyone. Employee working from home or an employee working from data center or an employee who is a contract employee cannot be the same. So access environments is going to be changed, and one of the access environment what we are talking about is work from home. So Accops has built the technology where anytime anywhere access is being provided. And one of the most important thing I would like to again stress is that we are being in a position to provide the keep governance within an organization. So this is very, very important here. By delivering the Accops solution, we are not having a backdoor entry to the organization, nor do we have control over our own solutions in the customer place. Our solutions can provide access to business or any solutions, and we keep the governance in the customer environment itself. And this is one of the reasons we have been able to give our solutions to companies which build their own IPs, build their own security environments and everything. So the complete control is with the customer. How do we do it? We have created our own technology, which is mainly created around the zero trust environment. So we have ensured that the zero trust environment is the architecture on which the secure access has been built. And we understood that zero trust is not going to fulfill all the requirements. So we build the end user computing environment also. We also build the virtualization environment, which is like Citrix and VMware in the market. And we were able to scale over it. Then we understood that this is not enough. So we had to build the identity management, which will ensure information of the user, information of the logs, information of the data, information of access, everything to be delivered to an organization. So this was done, and our main interest as an organization is to provide secure and speed up access. So in the name of security, we didn't want to reduce the speed of an access. We also wanted to ensure that the application access is more secure compared to the engagements which is there in the market. So Accops was established in 2012. It is in Pune, and before 2012, in 2009, there was a company called ProPalms. ProPalms actually became Accops, and before that, it was called vFortress, which actually the people moved to ProPalms, and from there it came here. So we have a good amount of customers pan India, and we have a good amount of customers operating from 8 or 10 different countries. Now, if you look into it, we are very proud to say that NIC is our customer. The nuclear plant in Kalpakam, the Indian Defense, and many eminent companies like Dubai Coach. We have NSCIT, we have Equifax, and other companies using our solution. So we have covered many verticals like BFSI, then healthcare. So almost many verticals we have been building our technologies for them. Globally, we have the Japan government using a solution, Oman government using a solution, Mustek government using a solution, Dubai Court using the solution, Kyoto University, which actually has Nobel literates using a solution. and it's all been an Indian solution, which started with an imagination, which went into innovation, which went into integration. It was very informative, and it was always an Indian company which is there. So we have a lot of system integrators and organizations which have been delivering the solution to the customers. So the technology what we actually built was the user, before he gets access to the applications, or he gets access to the VDI, or he gets access to a single sign-on, we try to build an architecture where Accops portal has been accessed, and Accops portal which is there will decide whether a user is to be given access or not based on the user identity and information from the blacklisted fields. Many times what happens is that the user who is trying to log in is going to use an Active Directory environment or LDAP environment on an untrusted device. So his informations may be compromised and may be stolen from his PC and may be used to attack the organization. So we also come to know about the blacklisted fields through which the compromise is going on. So we inform the organization about not allowing the blacklisted fields to be allowed. Sorry, the users under the blacklisted fields to be allowed. So we also have an identity management environment where the device has been identified and the device security persona is being checked. And after that, we check an allowance of the access, which is called permission to the applications, or we enforce a concern-based access called an environment where the other user, that is the senior official, can actually permit or deny a user from logging in, or the user can be denied. Here I am saying that a user who has a valid device, a user who has a valid desktop, who has a valid username password also can be denied from logging in because of the information which have been compromised, or because of the fictitious login which can happen. So we can even identify a rogue login. We can identify a login which is going to be dangerous to an organization and can be stopped because based on data. And finally, we also ensure that endpoint scan on the machine has been done so that the forensic information of that device is being documented into the data center. We also have apps which actually can log in instead of an user. For example, we have a couple of banks who are using a solution, and these banks are being allowing paisavasul.com or the other companies like Policy Bazaar to log in. And in these type of organizations, we try to ensure that human interface is not there. They are robotic softwares, they are bots which are trying to log in, and they go through the Accops procedure to log in. So to make it more informative, I would like to use the whiteboard to access. So is my whiteboard visible?
No.
My whiteboard is not visible?
Not yet.
Okay. So I think I want to share my desktop.
Yeah, I think you should be able to share your desktop.
It is asking every application separately, so it is not giving me an option.
In that, there will be one desktop also. In the applications which you are seeing,
Okay.
other things, there will be a desktop also visible. You click on that, and that will open the desktop for sharing.
Okay. So I have apps here.
You will have 2-3 screens visible there, no?
I have some 10 screens visible here, but
you have to see which is there is that many applications are open now in your computer. You just look for desktop and then click on that, it will open.
Okay, sir. So desktop is not coming in. Yeah, I've used Zoom before, but it's a coincidence that the desktop is not coming in here. Share computer,
Applications which are not
automation.
closed down also, you will be able to see that. They have also been changing the security and other settings.
Okay, so I'm going to show my whiteboard here. I'll do it one by one.
I think it's come now.
Okay, so whiteboard has.
Yeah, it's come.
Okay, no, I shared the whiteboard separately. So the whiteboard has come, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me go through, let me keep Accops aside and let me go through the technologies which is there for work from home. Then I'll look into the important technologies which need to be there. So let's consider an organization which has servers in their data center, and all these servers are connected to the switch, and the switch is connected to the desktop. Sorry, the switch is connected to the firewall, and the firewall is connected to an ISP. So every organization would have computers in their office, or they would have had, they would be having branch officers who would have logged into their environments. Now let's consider that there's a user who wants to work from home, and he actually has to use his homegrown internet to work. So what are the type of engagements where he can actually work from home? So a user who is trying to work from home, we request the organization to have a service running inside the office called Accops service. Accops service can run on virtual machines, it can run on desktops, it can run anywhere inside an organization. Accops service is exposed to the outside world on port 443. This is a secure port which has been internationally accepted. So Accops, which is built in an organization, can be exposed on port 443, or Accops also can be built on a cloud environment and exposed to the outside world on port 443. So user, what he can do is to connect to office and work. He can connect to the Accops server on port 443. This secure connection can go through an LDAP login or an AD login. Once he logs into Accops and he successfully logged in, he can connect to the applications of the corporate environment and work, or he can connect to the desktop, and from where the desktop can connect to the corporate environment and work, or Accops can also build a virtualization stack. It can build a virtualization stack, and the user who is logging in can log into the virtualization stack, or I can call it as a facilitator, access facilitator, and from there he can log into the application and work. So in total, if I have to look into what are the modes of access, the first mode of access is accessing the applications directly through Accops. The second mode of access is accessing the desktop, which is there of an employee, and from there the employee logs into the application. The third mode of access is through the virtual environment. So these are three modes of access which is there, and he can also do one more thing. The Accops can be set up in the cloud environment, and the virtualization also, it can be built in a cloud environment. So the user can log into Accops and access the application, or user can log into the Accops and access the desktop and access the virtualization stack, then access the application. So all three which is there, accessing the application, desktop and virtualization, can also be done on cloud environment. In the cloud environment also, application access, desktop access and virtualization access can be done. So Accops has been able to provide all these technologies. Now, what is important? Now, in the last 15 years of giving access to organizations, we have been trying to articulate what is really going to be the success mantra for technologies which can provide secure workspace environments. So, three things which we have always seen is which is going to be very important for the technology to be productive. One is going to be with respect to performance. Uh, the product performance is supposed to be anytime better than any other product. So performance is one thing which is going to be looked into. The second thing which is going to be is seamless. How seamless is the product working? Now, for example, the user was working in office and now the user is actually working from home. What is the difference of he working from office and he working from home? It should be very seamless. When he comes to office, he should be able to work in from office. When he comes to home, he should be able to work. There should not be much of restrictions or not much of configurations or not much of logging ins and everything which is there, because of which it becomes a tedious task. So seamless nature is something which is very important. Um, Seamless nature also will ensure that rollout is very easy. For example, you should be in a position to roll out 10,000 users in a week time. This is a type of rollouts which should be possible. You should not be taking approximately a month or 2 months to roll out 10K users. So this is something which should be there, or else many companies take solutions and take approximately 6 months to roll it out. Here in coronavirus time, hardly you will get any time to do it. And the third thing, which is going to be very important, all said and done, security is paramount. So these are three things which any product has to look into, so that the product-wise, technical-wise, it is good. Apart from that, there are other things is there, costing is there, ROI is there, and the usability use cases are there, and all that is there. But to technically position a product, it is performance, scalability, and security wise. Now, if you look into what are the features a product needs to have, for example, you build a remote access solution product, what are the features it needs to have? The first feature what it needs to have is KYC, that is know your computer. Every computer which is allowed to log in should be granularly identified. When I say granularly identified, hard disk, motherboard, processor, network interface card, then the ID, everything has to be identified. So anything and everything, geolocation, what are the packets, what is the OS, what is the geolocation, what is the region, what is the language, what is the, everything has to be identified. This is very important. KYC is very important. If KYC is not there with respect to a computer, then you can always have a rogue computer or you can have a hacker coming inside. So KYC is very important. The second thing of work from home is isolation. When you are working from the home, you should be given isolation so that this machine from where you are logging in should not be infected or should not be what do you say, listened by any other product in the market. For example, you should not be able to do RDP, VNC. You should not be able to do WebEx on that machine. You should not be able to do Facebook access on the machine when the corporate access has been happening. So isolation is something which should be deployed from the company point of view. It's not the user's responsibility, it is the company's responsibility to put this isolation in place. The third thing which is very important is intellectual property safeguard. Many times what happens is that when a computer logs into a VPN, the VPN gives the computer an IP address. And this IP address is the IP address of the network. The network IP address is given to the end user. And this end user becomes a part of the internal computer. Now, when it becomes a part of the internal computer, all the broadcasts from all the PCs, all the DNS data from Active Directory environments and all the ARP data, DNS data, everything goes to this VPN machine, which is actually outside. And this machine, which is actually outside, when it gets all the informations of the servers and everything, and this machine is using an unattended internet, hacking this machine is very, very easy. So compromising this machine will end up compromising the data center informations and the company informations, because of which a hacker can find a sweet spot, and from there he can proceed to hack the entire environment. So intellectual property safeguard is very important. And the next thing which is very important is sanitization of data. Sanitization of data means that after the login which has happened to the company, this computer should not be in a position to send virus or worms to the data center. If you use the latest present technology in the market like VPN or VDI or anything at all, they all can send virus worms to the data center, because all the data which is there is encrypted, and the firewall which is there is not doing content filtering on encrypted data. Because of that particular problem, any of the infected machine which is having an access to VPN will be able to send infected data to an organization, which is source of attacks which has been happening here. That means the sanitization of their data is very important. That's the fourth thing. The fifth thing which is there is it should have sufficient DLP features needed, so that if you open any data from the corporate environment, if you access any data from the corporate environment, you should not be able to take a screenshot, snapshot, or you should not be able to pull the data down and copy it or anything from a work from home mission. If there is a restriction on that mission, we need to ensure that the data doesn't reach the local mission. So that has been something which is of very high importance. So I say again the same thing. Point number one is KYC, know your computer. Point number two is isolation. Third thing is intellectual property safeguard. The fourth thing is sanitization of data sent to the server, and the fifth thing is the DLP. So this is something which is going to be very important. Yeah. Apart from this, if an organization has servers which is there in office and it is exposed to the outside world, and they have users, and let's consider that they have servers in cloud also, like O365 is in cloud, other applications are in cloud, Salesforce is in cloud. So at that time what will happen is the user who has to, when you are sitting in office, he was connecting to the firewall and working, so firewall knew where he is going. But if he is sitting in home, he'll go to the cloud applications directly. So what we have done is when Accops is built into an organization, when anyone tries to connect up any of the cloud-based application, the cloud-based applications will in turn tell Accops that this user is trying to log in. So it will tell Accops that this user is trying to log in, and the next Accops what it will do is it will check this user, whether the user is sitting in his home, whether the user is using the corporate device, user is using the corporate environment, DLP has been set up, everything has been set up, everything is fine, geolocation is fine, then this user will be allowed to log in to the cloud-based application which has been permitted for. So the cloud strategy is also very important in case you're going to use the environment of cloud setup. The next thing is what we have also seen is that people are having a firewall in office which is connected to an ISP, and users are going through the firewall for internet, and the proxy server which is there, or the web filter which is there, is filtering all the data which is coming from outside or which is going to outside. So this protection is there from the office side when the user machine is going through internet. But if the user is in home, he uses the internet and he goes outside, it is very dangerous because there could be someone in the internet world who is trying to understand what is the user doing. So the user has to go through a mechanism where whatever he is browsing should be protected from exposure. That protection should be there. So Accops has a mechanism that to build a internet as a service, so that the user logs into internet as a service and does the browsing of his machine. He should not use all this internet which is there in the local environment. The internet as a service will ensure that whatever he logs in and works, he should be in a position to keep it as a secret from exposure from the outside world. So this is one more information which I had to give you. And so if I have to show you, are you able to see my desktop?
No, whiteboard is visible only.
Whiteboard is visible. It is not showing my desktop. Oh, okay. Okay, so if you look into this, Accops was identified as a solution in Indian landscape security, where it has been shown as IAM solution is there. It has been shown as endpoint security solution also. Accops has been also been positioned so can I request sir to I'm disconnecting my share. Can you just check out if you are able to get desktop because I need to show an access.
I think we got your desktop just a moment back, I suppose.
Is my desktop visible?
It was visible a couple of minutes ago.
I don't get an option of desktop.
Now try.
Now this is a whiteboard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I minimize the whiteboard, are you able to see the desktop? No.
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 Yeah, it's not minimized actually. It's,
No, actually I have minimized it in my machine.
it is still showing here.
So
it is stuck to the application, not.
it is stuck to the application. So so if I
the host, you just see whether you will get the control now. So far you are co-host, now you are the host.
no, the desktop option is not there. Okay, can you are you able to share your desktop? Can you just check out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is your desktop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, can you so you had a desktop option in your screen, right?
Yeah, that's true. When I go to the screen, this thing, then I will be here applications and the desktop.
Okay, so in my thing, the desktop is the first time. It's first time.
Yeah.
Have you clicked share screen and seen?
See, when I click here, if the application is there, application will come. Otherwise, the desktop will be there.
No, he can click share screen in the bottom and try, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I click on share screen, okay, can I get a connection? Can I take the connection from you?
Yeah, please. You are the host now.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm opening a browser. Then I will open the. So I'm just going to show you a demo about how work from home can happen. For example, I'm showing in the browser now. Hope people are able to see the browser.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you how companies have been able to work at the situation. For example, if you look into L&T, L&T uses Accops solutions to log in. This is the browser through which they hit the server. In the same manner, if you look into companies, okay, if you look into NIC, this is the page through which Arogya Setu has been given access to many of the dignitaries like embassies, IAS officers, PMs, the CMs who are there. So all of them has been given access through this page, and there are a couple of other sites through which they have been given access. The dashboard access has been given. So we have been able to provide a COP solution to government organizations. So if you see here, this is the page which has been there for Ministry of Foreign Affairs, NIC, Niti Aayog, and everyone. So they have been using our solution for that. And I'll show you a live access to my office, how we are working. So I'm sharing that page here now. This is the okay. This is to log into my office. Very simple. I hit the browser. So once I hit the browser, I need to check at what speed I'm connected to the office. So I have the provision to check at what speed I'm connected. Many times the local internet may not be that good, and we may suspect the office is not providing services. So to reduce the support calls, Accops has ensured that when they connect to the organization, they get connected using a mechanism where it is visible about what speed they're connected and everything. So user puts the username, password. So a work from home machine can always have viruses, worms, trojans. A work from home machine can always have a lot of keyloggers copying it. So what we do is that when a username password has been entered, first we do a device check. The device check will do the KYC for Accops. The device check will check whether the device is a known device or an unknown device. There are two ways we mitigate a lot of attacks. One is by allowing computers only known to the organization to log in, and second thing is sanitizing the data from the computers which is allowed to log in. So once the device check is done, it will ask for a token. So token gets delivered on my mobile. the employee's mobile. So the token will ensure a dynamic password will protect every access happening without compromising of the username password. So as of now it is very hard to stop anyone from copying the password, because any browser, anything, any keylogger copies it. So using Accops, we'll be able to have access to the corporate environment on a browser itself. This is just on a browser, the access is there. So once you click on the desktop, the entire desktop gets opened on the browser itself. So hope you are able to see the desktop on a browser.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the desktop which is running on a browser. In case I've been able to show the local machine, you will be able to see that there is nothing running on my local machine. In the same manner, I can give even access to Linux desktops, open source desktops. I am able to giving access to Windows 7 desktops. So in a very simple manner, with the least amount of bandwidth, the least amount of dependency, I'm able to give desktop access to work from home environments. Not only desktop access, I can also give access to desktops which requires additional security. Additional security like multi-factor authentication for the desktop which is inside the office. So once I put the username password, it'll ask me for a challenge request. It'll ask me for an ID verification again. And once the ID has been verified, it'll also check with the tokens which has been assigned to me, and it'll ask me to put the input on the information which is delivered from the token, and I can get access to the desktop. So what I want to say is, working from home, I'm not compromising the security. I get an access of my desktop, I get access to Linux machines, I get access to Windows 7 or a desktop which is going through security. I can also get access to SAP-based applications, client-server applications on a browser, so that I work on a least amount of bandwidth without dependency on whether the application is installed on my machine or not. I can also work with applications like Tally, applications which is there, which takes very huge bandwidth. I can also work with applications like SQL Management Studio and other applications on a very simple browser which is running on my machine. So absolutely zero dependency on my machine. Scalability, performance, and security has been all inbuilt into this particular technology. So you're able to see Tally working here, and you're able to see the SQL, all this thing working. So I would like to show you biometric access, which is going to be very important for a organization to assert the person's login. So so now I think you're able to see my client, which is there on a local machine.
Yeah.
So this is also a mechanism in which people who are using desktops can always work. For example, if you see here, it has a provision to always stay on, so that you don't have to go to browsers always. So if you see here, I'm putting in username password for a login. It is doing a device check, asking for a token. The token is delivered. And once the token is delivered, it is asking for a biometric. Are you able to see the biometric screen?
Yeah.
Okay, the biometric request which is coming in. So I'm able to enter the.
You can put it to the center.
Yeah. So are you able to see my desktop now, where the applications are getting visible? No?
It's slightly, no, it's not coming out fully. I think it has gone to a side. The window has to be broadened. But we are able to see the half of the screen.
Okay, I don't know. So the corporate applications which are there is going to be shown in my local mission, and if you can see here, the corporate applications can be any set of applications which is given to the end user, and it'll be working. And so we have visibility of the access which is there, and um, okay. So with respect to reporting or a technology which is there. Okay, so you're able to see the white screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just give you a present technology which is there in the market, and what are the issues the present technology creates, so that I can showcase what is the solution for that. Now, the present technology is like if you have an IP address of an application like 10.10.10.10, and if you are going to look at a VPN which is there inside an organization. Now let's consider this is 10.10.10.10, and this is an SQL server on 1433, and there is one more server on .12. This is a SSH server, and there is one more technology which is on 13, which is a SAP server on 3200. So basically, what happens is the computer which is outside, when it tries to connect to the VPN environment, the technology of VPN is such that the VPN gives an IP address of 10.10.10.x, and it becomes a part of the internal network. Now, once it gets 10.10.10.x, then this computer is able to actually interact with the servers which is there here. So basically what will happen is, then if this is 10.10.10.20, if this is sending a broadcast, the broadcast also comes to this mission. So basically any computer which is there in office which is giving a broadcast will come to this mission. And if this mission is sending some broadcast, it will also go through the firewall and go inside. So the amount of data which is actually passing through the work from home mission is very high. It is not only with respect to the application, it is with respect to broadcast, ARP, and everything. Whereas the work from home mission is actually working with 100 kbps bandwidth or something like 50 kbps bandwidth. Whereas an office which is having 100 mbps bandwidth is able to take all this data, but not a work from home mission. So bandwidth becomes a constraint. Now, out of the bandwidth which is there, data forms a part of the bandwidth. Then you have broadcast, DNS packet, ARP packet, and other packets which form a sizable amount of the bandwidth. So what Accops has done is it has changed the technology. Now, when a user tries to log into the firewall, and Accops is built inside, and there are servers. This is let's consider this is 10.10.10.12.12.13 and .14, and this is called SSH, and this is called SAP, and this is called an SQL. So let's consider Accops will give a name. .12, I will give a name of CLI access. dot 13, I'll give a name as a PRD, and dot 14, I'll give a name called SQL. So on the local machine, the user has been asked not to use the IP address of the server. User has been asked to use the name, CLI access, PRD, or SQL. And these names, the computer will not know why it has been used. And when the Accops client or Accops service is there, connects to this one, Accops will see the application layer of this connection is being captured and sent to the Accops server. Accops server will map dot 12 to CLI access, dot 13 to PRD. Then it will send it to this one. That means that the server side information is not exposed to the end side. Server side information is exposed only to the Accops server. Accops server will capture the required data to be traveled. Accops server will capture the required data to be traveled, and from here it will send the data to the application environment. Now I'm going to show you a document which was created. Okay, so so the normal data is so and so, which goes from the client machine to the server side. And what has happened is when you have SAP data, or when you have SQL data, or when you have any sort of data from your work from home environment, um, the work from home environment application layer goes through the computer, and it gets the IP layer in a particular environment where it gets captured by the VPN client. Now, the IP layer gives the IP address to this particular data, so that the data can be encrypted and sent to the corporate environment. So the basic thing is, all the work from home data has been captured by the application layer, and it has to go through the different layers of the computer, and in one layer it gets an IP address where the VPN client captures it and encrypts it and sends it. The problem number one, the corporate data, that is the corporate data which goes to SAP server or other servers, is the corporate data which is SAP or anything, is going to have an IP address, and this IP address has been exposed from the VPN from the server side to the local side, and the local machine is now going to be aware of the corporate data which is going through the VPN. So the local data is able to inject lot of unwanted data or fictitious data into the track of the corporate data, and all those fictitious data also will be encrypted and sent to the corporate environment. Now, the firewall in the corporate environment is not being able to do content filtering on the data because it is encrypted. And that's one of the reasons why an attack can happen from an outside world to the server internally. The reason number one, the corporate data is made visible to the work from home mission. That is one, and it can inject. That's point number two. The corporate data which is there can be exposed to the outside world because this is work from home internet. The third thing is that the corporate data which has got the IP address is going to expose it to the local machine, and the local machine is aware of the trace route. If you do trace route after connecting with VPN, you will be able to reach the server also. So three things happens. One is the corporate data gets injected. The second thing is that the corporate data gets exposed. And the third thing which happens is that the local machine is able to reach the server. and get all the information of the server. And that's one of the reasons the corporate data which has been going to the data center, because of all the injections which is there or headers which is there, final size of the VPN is so much. So what Accops has done is that whatever be the corporate data, SAP data, SQL data, FTP data, is captured by Accops client immediately, and it is encrypted and sent it. Now, the firewall which is there is not going to do content filtering on encrypted data, but the encrypted data is pure data which has been sent. The first thing what happens is that you are using the work from home PC to work with the office, but the work from home PC is not aware of any corporate data which has been used to send to the server side. So the work from home PC is completely clueless of the corporate data. Point number one. The work from home PC, which is completely clueless of the corporate data, is not able to expose the corporate data to the outside world. This is point number two. Point number three is the local PC through which you are doing official work is not aware of the route to go to the corporate environment. This is point number three. So that means that you are able to work with the work from home mission without even telling the local mission that you're using it for a corporate access. So that's the secrecy in which Accops can provide, where the data which is there is going and subsequently the data size is being lesser. So this is one more thing which is identified as one of the important factors. So couple of vulnerabilities which has come into the market because of work from home environments. So any questions?
Type the questions or open your mic and then speak.
Mohan, this is Ramesh. It's really a great session. I think you really covered whole from home thing. A quick question on, would this be treated as an MDM solution or you can just positioning like for a data leakage prevention solution?
See, what has happened is a lot of things like PIM, PAM, MDM, DLP is all needed for a work from home environment. Okay, so basically a work from home environment requires the device identification. So that is going to be more important. Now, MDM is also a solution which is actually trying to fulfill that requirement, right? So the problem is, how is the MDM going to be integrated with Active Directory, right? The MDM should actually tell the Active Directory the guy is not working from his device, so you should stop the guy from logging in. You got it? So the main problem is the integration. Now, let's consider, I'm going to show you a slide here. One of the vulnerabilities what we identified is, if you see here, you asked about MDM, right? Now, can you see on the right hand side, Data Center App 1, Data Center App 1 is written there, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you see the flow here, the work from home employee is going through a public environment, going through the firewall, landing on a desktop environment, right?
Right.
And from there, he is connecting to the data center app. Now, if you go to the data center app and check who is logged in, what information will he get? He'll get the virtual desktop information, right?
Right.
Now, what will happen to the information of the user who is coming from home? that information will not be there.
Yeah, it's in the VPN server side of it, and it's not even coming inside. Okay.
Yeah, that information is very, very important to be fed inside the data center app as a work from home user. The work from home user should be documented for any fraudulent analysis. You cannot term a work from home user and an office user in the same manner and document it in the data center as a virtual desktop user. That is wrong. Virtual desktop is a mechanism in which the external user is logging in. So the information of the external information should be fed by the virtual desktop into the data center environment. That is not done. Now, MDM is something which is capturing the device information and allowing the device or not allowing a device. But MDM also should pass on that information to the application, telling that this is the device which is trying to access the application. So that has not been done. So MDM is good with respect to managing the devices and everything. But MDM also has limitation with the type of devices it can manage. It may not be able to manage the Mac device the way it is managing a Windows device, or may not be able to manage a Linux device the way it is managing the desktop. So we need to have a scalability environment where we need to use as much less clients as possible so that the scalability is there. Okay. So what is important is all the technologies which can converge and give you a document.
Okay. Maybe it's a very different question. So with Accops, I should be able to trace the source of where access is coming. It's in my mobile or a personal device or any other guest device as well.
Very much.
Okay.
You will be in a position to have the source information even fed into the application. For example, you have an SAP server. In your SAP server reports, you will have the information of the external device from where the transaction is happening. Though you go through a virtual environment, you will have the external device information. Okay.
Okay, I got it.
Hi Mohan, this is
Yeah.
Prachi. With respect to the log monitoring, so the logs of this particular Accops can be integrated with, for example, if I'm using Splunk on premises.
Yeah.
Can the logs be integrated with this?
Yeah. Accops logs can be integrated with any of the technologies which is there in the market, and we can pass on those logs also to any of the other servers also.
So one more question. So when we are using
Yeah.
the Accops platform as such, so if I want to restrict users based on the region, for example, only EU region persons need to have access to the EU data, not the other country data. So what technology or what mechanism we will use in order to restrict that?
Okay, so we have geolocation, which is there inside the product, which will ensure that that particular region only should be allowed to log in.
We have to do it in terms of while we are configuring the platform, or it can be integrated with the PAM solutions.
So it can be configured in the system. I've not been able to show the desktop as such, because of which I'm not able to show or else I would be showing it. So in Accops, you can say that Mr. Rajesh has to work from this particular location. So when Rajesh works from that particular location, the identification of that particular user has been done, and he'll be allowed to work from that location. If he comes out of that location, then he'll not be allowed to log in.
Okay.
So in India, we have an employee who is supposed to work from Bangalore, and now he is going to work from Goa, so he'll not be allowed to log in.
But if he uses proxy server, then?
So we have a provision to ensure that proxy servers informations are identified, and other informations are also been identified. We do something called received WAN IP address and detected WAN IP address. So using an application inside, we can resolve it using multiple mechanisms to identify whether very easy and what is the real IP address and everything. Now, this is the log server which we have. If you see here, I have logs of all the type of things which is there. For example, I have dashboards, all the server dashboards, user dashboards, and all these dashboards are there. Okay, so for example, per user dashboard which is there, so I have user activity, bandwidth activity, disk activity. All these dashboards are will be visualized here. So I have a complete environment where I can actually with each user I can actually document all these environments to capture it. Yeah. Any questions?
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
When you means your server is in between the organization and user, so you have access to each and every say available data of the
Yeah.
organization as
Yeah.
well as in the user's computer. So how the legal agreements are going in these environments? You must be means exposed to high risk.
So that's the reason I initially told the entire governance is going to be with the organization, right? So I've been able to look into all the data which is there. That's why what we do is Accops is a solution which is going to be installed in the customer place. It has a PKI server, PKI 12, where a private key and a public key is being generated using a certificate authority when the installation is done. For example, I have done my installation. Let's consider I have done my installation in Ramco. Now, Ramco is doing a lot of developments with respect to software, a lot of developments with respect to intellectual property and everything. Now, once I have done the installation in Ramco, the public key and the private key is in their control. The certificate authority is in their control. They will delete the users through which the installation was done. After that, even Accops, though it is the builder of the software, will not be able to log into Ramco because it is governed by the public key and the private key environment.
Okay. So you have
Okay.
handed over entire hardware as well as software to them. So it is their ownership. You are not involved in it.
Hardware, software, every key is being handed over to them. They become the owners. Whenever they need support, they generate a ticket for us, an access which is controlled.
Okay.
Okay. Then after that, it is visualized and it has been transferred. So this is a very important key of information which we give to organizations, and that is one of the reasons we have been trusted by a lot of defense organizations and other organizations, because we hand over the entire thing to that particular organization itself.
So, but you told that you are always updating your server, means hotlisted numbers or etc. So for that you must be having access regarding to updation of that particular hotlisted ISPs or hotlisted hardwares etc etc. So how you
Yeah.
manage that?
Okay, so what we do is by default, the information which is there in the server is having information about whether the user is AD user or not user. But in case he wants, the server needs to have information about external factors. For example, if there is a username is compromised by the user is compromised and that information is there in the dark web, then he has to go for a third-party service which will integrate with that particular server. So it will not be that it is our service which is going to be integrated with that particular server which is in our control. We don't have the control on that. So we help the customer integrate Accops server to integrate with third-party services which will provide the services to that. So for example, geolocation. We do the geolocation using the IP address which is there. But sometimes what happens, the IP address which has been provided by an ISP may not be the IP address of that location. Now let's consider Mumbai location. IP address is over. They may give an IP address of Uttar Pradesh. So though the user is logging in from Mumbai, it will show as Uttar Pradesh. So basically what will happen is it will show as impossible travel and it may reject the user also. But if a company is very strict in looking at those parameters, then what will happen is the company has to go for a third-party service which will pin drop the person's information from that particular environment.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So many features which are there has been built, but how many features have been used by an organization always is under consideration, right? Many times we build cut, copy, paste, we build cut, copy, paste restriction and everything, but for the security for an organization. But at the end of the day, what happens? The organization opens up cut, copy, paste, not applying the security because they say, no, we need a lot of employees working and all that.
Yeah, that's a common use anyway.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you the reporting server here. So Accops reporting server is an exhaustive collection of informations which is there pertaining to user activity, user logs, user informations, detailing architecture about activities, timeouts, then upload, download data and everything which is there. So these logs are there. So end of the day, I think people are going to HR, everyone are going to ask for logs now. So Accops has built built a lot of logs. If you can see a geolocation dashboard is there. Can you see here? It was right. Can you see the geolocation dashboard? So it gives you all the information of the geolocation environments. Any questions? Yeah. So
Mohan, I think just being in the FDPI group, I think this is mostly a privacy question. Would there be any consent management here required? I know sometimes employees may not be want to be traced or tracked because if I have geolocation, other things. So I know where he is. He may not want to.
So I didn't get you. Sorry, sir.
Sorry, no, I was just saying that in this case, should we say there's a consent management also built in because we are tracking the employee or wherever is moving or where has been there. He may not want to be identified that way.
Now, when you're see what it all depends upon the employee and agreement what he has with the customer, sorry, with this organization. Many salespeople go to geolocation environment compulsory because the managers wants to know where is the sales guy, right? So when you are expecting an employee to do very critical work, for example, treasury applications are accessed, huge amount, multi-crore transactions have been done. Design of multiple nature is there. You will never like an employee working outside the country, right? If you're doing an outsourced job for someone, it is very important to know that the user's location from where the transaction has been happening. So I can consider Bangalore as a home, registered home, but I may not consider Goa as a registered home, right? So geolocation is again a option which has been given to an organization to configure and do it. Geolocation is also for restricting some access from some locations. For example, we have a bank who has been using a solution. There is a sales guy who has to get 100 accounts from this village. He is not getting 100 accounts. He is going to some other village and getting the accounts. So Accops will ensure that he is being given access only from that village so that he can open his accounts only from that village on that particular day. So it's very important how is the technology going to be used and how is the technology going to be misused. Right. So if you see here a application like G Suite, which may be used by an organization, even that can be controlled by Accops in a very, very simple manner. Now people have not set up servers in their office, so they have been using G Suite. Now when they work from home, it becomes a control problem. So when he logs into G Suite, Accops takes over the control of the G Suite access, and the user has to put the details. The user, when he puts the details here, he's been identified using the OTP. And once the identification is done, if you see here, Accops will tell the user that the device approval for that particular device is not there. contact the administrator. Maybe this person is logging in from his home device for the first time. So administrator will go to the panel and he will go to the environment where the informations are being captured, from where he is logged in, which device he is logged in, and the approval is being given by the administrator. If you see here, initially the approval was not there. So what happens with MDM is that MDM is a different dashboard, access is a different dashboard, authentication is a different dashboard. So end user may have to go through multiple processes. Here, authentication, device control, everything has been happening under a single window. So Accops has something like 13 to 14 products inbuilt into a single solution, so that all the parameters of security, performance, logging activity, everything is delivered as one single solution. So that tomorrow if there's a support call, you don't have to call up multiple people, you call up only one organization. Or else for MDM problem, you will call up MDM, you will call up one more company for access, one more company for authentication, one more company for DLP, like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So any questions?
So we had a very enlightening session, Mohan. I'm sure people in the security area will have many other questions which will perhaps follow. But I think for today, I think we have been very happy.
Okay. I will do one thing. I'll show with the last video, which is going to be very important. So let's consider a user is working from a virus infected machine. Okay. I'm saying a completely virus infected machine. User from home has to work from a machine. See, you cannot expect user to have good machines. User may have a pirated machine, user may have an infected machine, anything at all. Work from home, you're using his home machine to save the business. Now, let's consider this is a user's machine which is working from home. So what Accops has done is, Accops has built an OS, which is Linux-based OS, with an authentication to log into the company. Using this OS, the user can shut down his machine and restart his machine from this Accops OS. So when he boots a machine, it'll ask him to boot it from the Accops OS. So when he boots the Accops OS, the vulnerable operating system or the operating system which can record data, which can have keylogger, which can have video recording software, everything is shut down. And this Linux machine, which is a hardened machine starts. This Accops hardened OS can give access to the corporate environment, and from this virus infected machine have a login, and he can work the same machine to do activities of his office. For example, he is able to log into a desktop and he is able to work. Now, how many operating systems are there here? The local operating system, which is all shut down, which is infected, the Linux operating system, which is the base operating system given by Accops, and he is logging into the corporate operating system, which is there in the data center. So once he works in the data center, he can finish his job, and from there he can log out, and his local machine can come to life. So in this manner, all the security parameters like data transfer, upload down virus transfer, downloading of data from corporate, uploading the data from a local machine, all these issues have been sorted out. Yes, sir.
Any other point? I think we will have to digest all these things. I see that there are a number of security solutions inbuilt into whatever he's talking. Hopefully, I think what is reflected is years of experience in this particular field. Perhaps Mr. Mohan has started it much earlier than the last 2 months when others have started looking at work from home, I think, and that is why there is a robust architecture which is visible. I think
yes, sir.
It was quite a nice presentation. We were able to understand that work from home can also be secure. Unfortunately, Cognizant didn't have this software, I suppose.
Very much. So many times in organizations, what happens is that product is not been procured. There is a compromise which happens when the procurement has been done. So the right solution and the right product has to be looked into without getting carried away by the lobbyism and without getting carried away by the influence.
Rabbit for bankers to use this on as a general solution?
Sorry, sir?
Have you been in touch with this Reserve Bank of India IT team?
Yeah.
For this kind of a solution to be used by banks in general, apart from one or two banks whom you might have separately contacted and got.
Mohan,
very much, sir.
Mohan,
Yeah.
see, can you just explain about what we propose to Karur Vysya Bank? This local desktops, which will be converted into Linux machines.
Yeah. So there are a lot of technologies. I'll answer the first question. Ribbit is already been contacted by Accops, but Ribbit has not been given the authority to say that this is a product which Ribbit is going to recommend for the RBI. So what we were told is Ribbit is a IT for RBI, and we also told the Ribbit environment that please select every product with a lot of cruciality so that people who are looking at you is going to be very much following your footsteps. So we are in touch with Ribbit on that, but Ribbit has not been given the information to tell it to everyone that please use this product. So there is an application called Swift application which is there for the transactions of a very high nature. So Accops has built a solution for Swift security. Using this, we have delivered Swift security to IDFC and other organizations. But no organization actually certifies any product as a secure product, because tomorrow if anything goes wrong, because at the end of the day it's a software, any vulnerability can hit any software, so they don't certify it. They say that okay, these features are there. Now Swift application is a Sweden based application. My team has to fly down to Sweden, show the source code to them and all that. So we may not be in a position to spend 40 lakh 50 lakh rupees to get a certification done, which is not going to be a long term. So we are talking to RBI. We are looking for like-minded people who can recommend us to RBI. We are looking for like-minded people with whom we can actually work together. Very sorry to say that a lot of companies are still putting in tenders the names of foreign companies as Citrix and VMware to be used for tenders.
Yeah.
A lot of defense organizations also have put that. So we have been in touch with a lot of companies requesting them, please see this document, procurement document, which has come from government. Please see this recommendation come from government. And it has taken long time for us to tell organizations to scrap their tenders and go with the Accops, or at least give Accops a chance to bid for those tenders. So we are very happy for the government. At least after a long time, government has taken a good amount of initiatives. But yes, it is not one person who can actually drive everything. Everyone has to help, and everyone has to consider this as important thing for Indian companies to grow.
Yeah, I think the cotton clause has been removed for most of those requirements. So I guess it's open for even the local markets.
Yes, sir. And for Karur Vysya Bank, we had shown that an old PC also can be brought back to life by using a Linux OS, because nowadays OS is of no importance. It's all about application access, which is important. And thereby you are reducing the vulnerability of OS, which can infect the organization, like ransomware and other attacks which can come to an OS. So Accops has actually provided a couple of solutions to Karur Vysya Bank to streamline, reduce the cost, make things very efficient.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope your solutions are also cost effective so that mid-sized organizations can consider it.
Yeah. So our solutions is very cost effective with respect to numbers also. For example, I'll tell you, I can very clearly vouch that Accops solution is more than 50% lesser than the international solutions. I'll just give a number now. There was a company called Polycab, which was there. They used Citrix for almost like 5 years. And we have given them the solution at lesser than 50% of what they spend on Citrix for 5 years. The same thing has happened in multiple other organizations. See, the way we are reducing the cost is not that we are making it cheaper. We are being able to reduce the TCO of the requirement. We have been able to reduce the hardware required. We have reduced the support required. We are able to reduce the usability of multiple platforms like 32-bit and other things which is there. We are able to increase that usability, thereby reducing the TCO. See, for example, if you look at work from home, you need a VPN, you need a VDI, you need a multi-factor authentication, you need a DLP, you need a MDM, 5 solutions, 5 support, 5 people, 5 integrations. Now, one product, our support is going to be, I don't need 5 support. One support is enough. I don't need 5 different hardware, 5 different integration. People spend 20 lakhs for integration. On the same integration cost, the whole product can come in. So what we have done is, when we build a solution, we ensured starting from load balancing, starting from security, starting from device capture, everything is built by Accops itself. Instead of integrating with other products, thereby reducing the cost of dependency of other products. So that becomes a cost effectiveness for the customer.
But Mohan, how do you rate your success in terms of market acceptability? Satisfactory, it to be done, or what? Or how do you just?
Okay, so if anyone looks at the product, okay, if you look at the product per se, we don't have a competition at all. Because this is one of the product which has virtualization in space, VDI in space, everything put together completely. So we don't have a competition of any other product in the market which has everything in space. Okay, and with work from home, there is no product in the market which is there. But yes, with respect to market reachability, we still need partners who are driving the solution. We need customers going ahead and taking a solution. Because what has happened, because of the lobby of Citrix, VMware and other products which is there, and they have huge amount of cash deposits because of investments which is coming in, and they give many things for free, many things for because of the investment purpose and everything, that becomes a problem for us to grow. Now, Accops is a company which has taken into consideration that we don't take investments. The whole company has been running without investments. We have ensured that we don't take loans, and we don't take any funds from any other organizations. Everything has to be inbuilt. The reason why we took this call is that anytime an investor comes in, he actually looks at 3x or 5x or 10x. And that's where the control of the organization can go outside India. The control of an organization actually can be diluted because the cash flow becomes important. Money on research, money on people, money on new technologies is not going to come in unless you have your own cash reserves. So we didn't take that particular route because the companies we worked earlier, we worked for a company called New Axle, which sold vShield to VMware. We worked for a company called vPhotos, which sold it to some other company. We worked for a company which sold Citrix, Netscaler to Citrix. So many of the investors who start companies, end of the day, they come to a particular level, then they sell it off. So Accops is a group of people who have been building technologies for a pretty long time and saw that Indian companies should be there. So that's where in 2009 we started it, taking a role, no investments, no loans, no everything. Every product should stand its ground for sale. So market share, we don't have a huge market share, but we don't have a competition still. Wherever we have been able to position our software, companies have come forward to take the solution. So we don't have much. But other than that, yes, there can be resistance from a couple of organizations to take the solution. We accept it. There's no problem.
Good. I think we will see how FDPPI can work with your thing and try to see how we can build a sort of an awareness about this local to global kind of approach.
Yeah.
Definitely, whatever we can do, at least my personal this thing, I will definitely think about.
So thanks for being vocal of the local.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it. Maybe we will have to get more information and then create a way of presenting it to the appropriate authorities.
Yeah. So the whole product what we have built is customizable, and anyone who would like to put in a interesting feature, we can build it. Anyone who is looking for an interesting proposition,
The
we
last,
can give it to the organization.
the last thing you said about that your own operating system or something like that.
Yeah.
In fact, something similar to that we had once discussed with Certain as a mandatory product to be used by banks and distributing tokens to the customers so as to have a secured banking transaction. In fact, there was one company in Bangalore which actually had started manufacturing that on a test basis, but of course, completed. But the idea was that the login will be from that token, and all the rest of the operating system, as you said, virus infected and other things becomes irrelevant, and the banking transaction will go smoothly. So maybe it's a sort of a offshoot of whatever else you are doing. That is one thing I am looking at. Second is in terms of this privacy data protection laws which are coming, repositioning your product as a product for work from home is a different concept. Same thing, perhaps we can talk of it in a data secure environment kind of a thing. Maybe there may be a renewed push which can happen.
Yeah. So my interest is I've been seeing a lot of companies taking international products and messing up their environments. So my request will be that you take this product, this will surely safeguard, and we are answerable. See, we are based out of Pune, we are accessible here, we are answerable, and we are there in the market for 15 years. It takes good amount of maturity. You just said the pen drive solution which is there. See, what I always say, organization, it takes 8 years to build a product. You cannot get maturity within 1 year. You put the world's best brain on it. Software is a software. It has to go through a lot of hits and trials and go to a level. Even if I get the best scientist on earth, they will take some time to build something. And if it is not so, even Microsoft will not be having updates, right? There is update for every application. There is an update for everything which is there. There is something maturity which cannot be built in a day's time. So how to sustain for 8 years, how to sustain for 10 years is a question mark which every organization will ask. Because in India, sustaining is not easy. And with the influence of China and with the influence of US and other countries, sustaining a product and building it without any help and keeping all the ethics in place is you need to be really mad about it.
Say, in the data protection environment, we have, at least I have been repeatedly talking about the need for centralized data management, which happens in this virtualization kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I would like to have a sort of an information on a comparison between your software and Citrix or VMware or something like that.
Because sure.
In fact, every training program of our Personal Data Protection Act, I have been talking about this virtualization. Knowing that you have an indigenous solution which also can be pushed through, at least as a thought. Of course, ultimately it is a company's security person who has to discuss with you or something like that. But people like us also should have a general idea about how functionally your product compares with others, so that perhaps that knowledge can be spread.
Very much. We have those documents. I can pass on all those documents which is there. Yeah.
Kotan Raman has got something to say.
Yes, sir.
No, I word of encouragement to Mr. Bhat. We are thrilled with your integrity with the nation. We are proud of you. We will try to give you more publicity through our channels wherever possible. We are very, very happy. We have such a patriotic personalities coming together to build the nation. That's what very much important. We will be more hopeful henceforth. Kindly send across the details required by Mr. Vijay Shankar. We will also go hand in hand and try to help you to build a better India. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Appreciate your time.
We have actually
Mohan, I'll try to reach out later next week.
Sure, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Yeah, Ramesh, who is managing the NABARD kind of this thing, and all the cooperative banks, we are trying to have a solution. So there must be some opportunity somewhere. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
All of
Good
our
question.
members, thank you, Mr. Mohan, and we will anyway keep in touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Accops is ready for helping anyone in this work from home environment. To all the people here on this call, we have a lot of engagements where we have supported organizations with free softwares. So anyone who needs some sort of assistance which is needed to work from home, you can contact me. My team is there to guide and design the solution for you. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure, sir.
Sure.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Okay. And I think you will have to pass on the host back to me.
Yes, sir. I'm just.
So thanks for all the participants.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful
Thank you.
presentation.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
It is one of the best programs, Mr. Naavi ji. Thank you.
No, it's only because people like Mohan are available, we were able to have it. And Sridhar was the person who actually introduced me to Mr. Mohan. So thanks for Sridhar also.